person out today, so try to make sure I got the, I think if I turn that off, it'll show up better. I'm going to go ahead and close this door. All right, so, your homework is through my math lab. This is not how it's going to look for you. This is the instructor view, all right? But I'm just showing you, I have 2 intermediate algebras, right? You guys are section 4, and I made an announcement already for you that your course ID is Cook 20073. So you'll need that in order for my math lab to realize that you're in my course and you're doing my homework, all right? And you also need, an access code to get started. It costs money. I think you can get a free trial for 2 weeks, but you probably do better to ask another instructor about that. I don't know the details. My wife's been teaching online for about a decade for Liberty, and she always has some students that will complete the online homework for a course in the 2-week free video, the 2-week free period. But I don't recommend that for this course. You don't want to do all my homework in 2 weeks just to save a buck. Like, that would be very foolish. You'd like to have the semester to do it, right? So, and then this is for the other section, and you don't care about those people. Yeah. What's that? What? I'm sorry? Oh, it's in course content, but it's Cook 20073, and I can barely read it here. But yeah, I made an announcement with that code in there earlier today. But I wanted to talk about it here because I want to talk about the homework a little bit. So if I click on there, then we can look at this a little bit. So listen, there's all kinds of bells and whistles with my math lab, and you're welcome to use them, but all I'm really expecting you guys to do in here is to complete the assignments, all right? There's also something called like a study plan and other things, and you can use those. They might help you, but I don't think they're worth any points for you guys in here, right? What will earn you points towards the course grade is completing the assignments, all right? So let's look at it from the student view for the moment, if I can. So I guess it brings up this handy-dandy calendar. Not sure what that means. Announcement. Welcome to my math lab. Great. And so the first assignment that's due, it's due well, it's not due that quick actually, but this is the only one you can see if you start today. At the moment, the first homework that I've given you is I called it Mission 1 Numbers, and this one's named weird. I don't know why I did that, but this is just in-time review. That's basically like chapter 0 from the textbook. It's got stuff like basic stuff about numbers, notation. There's a ton of problems in that, but it should be pretty easy. And if it's not pretty easy, then you need to get help, yeah? Now, don't mistake having trouble getting the website to work for having trouble with the math. Those are different things. If you have trouble getting the website to work, I'm not saying you need to get help. I'm saying that, that is what it is, right? We live in a world that everything seems like it goes through the computer now, right? But anyway, I'll shut up about that. Here's the longer list of assignments. I'll go to the managerial view since that'll let me show it to you. So here's all the assignments for the whole semester. I put them all up there. All right. Now you can't see them all yet, but I do things a little bit different than some other instructors. What they're going to do is they're going to just release one homework as soon as we get to that material in class, and just that one. So you'll only ever have like 2 or 3 assignments sitting there. That's not what I'll do. What I'll do is by about the 2nd or 3rd day after the test, I will put all of the homework that's relevant up until the next test there. So basically, after the dust settles here this week and we all get started on it, you should be able to see all the assignments that you need to do in order to be successful at test 1. Right? So just because the assignment's there and available to you doesn't mean we've covered the material yet. In fact, no, we certainly haven't, right? But I want you to be able to work ahead if you want to. And I want you to be able to have the most time you can on those homeworks. That's why I open them all up. Now, you know, the risk to that, it's a considerable risk. I hope you'll help me manage this risk, is that you will try to put all of that homework off until the day before it's due and try to cram in a third of the semester's worth of homework in one night. This would not be wise, right? Don't do that, please. Because if you do that, then I will have to rethink my generous give you 3 weeks to work on the homework policy and go back to something like, here, you have 2 days to work on this homework. Now you got 2 days to work on this homework. You know, put aside everything else in your life. Work on this homework right now. I'd rather give you, hey, here's all the homework. You have 3 weeks to work on it. Budget your time and learn to do problems ahead of time, right? So that's a big part of college, is time management, right? So, but you're adults. I don't want to tell you much more about that at the moment. So the other thing that I do different is I will grade on points in the homework. Let me show you what I mean. There is doubtless a running average that will be provided by my math lab. In other words, you have X percent of the homework, of the assignments which have already been due or something. I'm not sure how it calculates the running average, and I don't really care, because running averages are not useful. This course, you know, it's not, your grade is not assigned until the end of the course, right? So what you're interested in is earning those 1,000 points that I have, right? And so it's not a percentage you're interested in here. It's the points that you've earned. Now, so unfortunately, I we'll have to do some kind of conversion on these, all right? So here's the number of points I've gone through assignment by assignment by assignment, changed all the due dates, tabulated the points. That's all I've done this week. So I hope you guys are happy. You're the chosen ones. I ignored my other classes to put you guys first. There are students in China still waiting for me to tell them math right now, you know. I owe them like lectures and lectures and lectures. But so the first one, the just-in-time review, that's got like 60 questions in it, but they're all really easy, I think. But those are 60 easy points to earn. But they're not course points, right? They're homework points, which we need to have some kind of conversion. And here it is. I mean, here's basically how many questions in each one of those sections. I can put this in, I'll post this Excel file in course content so you have it to look at. It's somewhat misleading though, because, you know, some of these problems, it's just one problem, but it's got 5 parts, you know, so, but it's still just worth 1 point. But anyway, I will total them up like so. Come on. Come on. So let's see here. Total of 525. There's 525 total points to be earned in my math lab. Let's think about what that actually means in terms of your end of semester grade for a second. Where's my All right, so I made a course planner. I told you I'd do this. And what this is the day-by-day of what I'm supposed to cover and kind of roughly. So once I've covered it, of course, you should be working on the homework, right? There's nothing that says you can't work on homework that I haven't covered yet either, right? That might make class make more sense sometimes. But anyway, so where are we? We're Wednesday, right? So I'm supposed to cover Chapter 1 on equations, Section 1.2, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. All right, and then like next Monday, I'm supposed to cover sets, inequalities, interval notation, you know, and so forth and so on, right? These are the topics that I'll try to cover day by day to keep myself on track and make sure I actually cover everything I'm supposed to cover in here. Here, this is my math lab, is due 8/29 at 10 p.m. So I think I have lied to you. It's not 3 weeks. That's what, like, how long is that? What's today's date? It's about 10 days. So yeah, 3 weeks. I was wrong. My apologies. But it is true for this one. That, see, the second part of the, so I've divvied up the homework a little. I forgot what I did. Let me clarify. I think what I've done is basically made each chapter homework due, a little bit after we're done with the material. So to be clear, Chapter 1 homework and Chapter 2 homework should both be visible to you pretty soon once you get into the system. But the Chapter 1 homework will be due the 29th of August. And then the Chapter 2 homework will be due like right before your Quiz 1. Okay? So I am actually trying to help you not cram too much into this day, but you really don't want to do these all on the due dates either, do you? You shouldn't do that. Some of you will hear me say, do that, do that, do that, but it's not what I said. Okay, so any questions? I will post this in course content if I haven't already. I can't remember if I did or not. So going on, so we'll cover these topics. We'll talk about these things. Yep. Good question. That's a very good question. The question was, do I want you guys to sign up with your UWA email? Let's look at the startup document that was generously provided to me by Professor Giles. So I can post, I'll post this in course content too, but the reason I haven't before I talked to you was I wanted to make sure that you understood that thou shalt not enter this course ID. This is not our course. Probably the rest of the advice here is good. Let's look at it. So go to the, if I can make that bigger. Okay, so we go to Pearson.com, MATLAB, the site. Again, I'll post this PDF after class, and then you can actually click on it. You go to register, you select student. Okay. Now this is wrong, right? What's our course ID in here? We don't do that. We do Cook. What is it? 20073. Hey, does my course ID have 007 in it? I like that. All right, let's see here. I guess if you have an existing Pearson account, then stuff is different for you. But if you don't, you create an account. And then you have to select an access option. Either you've bought one through the bookstore or you've bought one elsewhere. Right? Let's see here. And you were asking me, what you asked was a very good question. I need to know, the question is, how do I know who you are in my math lab, right? So I think if you sign in with you said use your username, like your UWA username, that should work for me. That uniquely identifies all you guys. So, yeah, don't sign under like, I don't know, pick your favorite fictional character, don't do that. I mean, if you do that, then it makes it hard for me to give you your points later, right? At some point. So I won't. I won't transfer these grades to Blackboard until much later, probably. Maybe like a middle of the semester, I'll transfer something. I haven't thought about this yet, actually. Definitely by the end of the course, there will appear a column in Blackboard, which is like total points earned in my math lab, at which point I will transfer however many points you've earned there over to Blackboard, and it'll appear alongside your tests and your quizzes. So like tests and quizzes, those grades will be posted in Blackboard, right? The only thing that's in my math lab, what do? Oh yeah, go ahead.
How many points do you have shows in the math lab?
My math lab, I think if you get every single question done correctly, I think if I calculated right, you'd have 525 points.
I'm talking about like the progress.
Yeah, it should. It's supposed to. It does that on my.
Do what?
He's asking like if your grade shows like as you work. Like
Yeah, I don't think that's actually meaningful. I mean, the question is how many. I mean,
Progress is made, like we do 3 assignments. Can we see the total points we made for those 3?
I would think so. I mean, you should be able to tell. You should be able to tell if you have completed those assignments or not. And it's very likely that I will. I don't think there's any limit on the number of attempts, so you can just keep working them until you get them all right. I think there's really no reason that everybody can't get all of the points in my math lab. It's just a matter of persistence. And if, once the due date happens, then I want you to move on, but I'll probably open everything back up at the end of the semester to make sure you can go back and finish whatever you didn't get before the test. I mean, I don't want you cramming my math lab. Like after the due date comes before the quiz, I then want you to focus on like studying for the test. I don't want you worrying about grabbing the last 20 points in my math lab, right? But I'm fine with you going back and trying to scrounge those points up at the end of the semester. You guys just have to remind me to open the assignments back up. That usually needs to be done. I haven't worked with this system in a few years, so we'll work it out. Just communication's key. But we calculated 525 points, right? I told you there's 1,000 points in the course. So those 525 homework points are not the same as course points. Let's think about that. So again, to answer her question, yes, please use your UWA user ID to identify yourself in the My Math Lab. That would be good. If you accidentally mess that up and you have something, if you're somebody else, like don't panic, just email me, let me know, and then I'll know. There's not too many of you, so I should be able to keep track of it. If I was teaching a class of 50 people, I'd be much less less flexible. That's here, but there's not too many of you in here. Okay, so back to the planner. So these are the things we're going to cover this semester, the topics, right? Basically the first 7 chapters of the book that you guys don't have because you're using the ebook, right? Which is fine. And then I have not posted the proper syllabus yet, but I will soon. But this course planner already has the things you're most interested in, right? I've told you when your tests are going to be, when the quizzes are going to be, and roughly when we're covering what we're covering, right? In addition, down here at the bottom, I put the grade, how I'm going to grade, how you can earn your grade in here. And so let me make that bigger so we can all see it. So like we talked about, you guys want 3 tests, which I think is good. So 3 tests, each one will be worth 150 points, which means if you make 100 on the test, it's not good, right? You want 150, because that would be like 100%. If you earn 150 points, it would be 100% on that test. Quizzes, there are 4 quizzes. There's one before each test. It's kind of a pre-test. So we'll have the quiz, and then right after the quiz, we'll talk about the solution to the quiz together. All right? And I'll have to grade them after that. I mean, I can't grade them real time like that, but I can talk about the solution together with you after you have the quiz. That's what we're going to do. And so there's 3 of them that come right before the test, right? Like quiz 3 right before test 3. And then quiz 4 is going to be the final day of class in here. And then right after quiz 4, we'll talk about the solution to quiz 4, and we'll talk about how to prepare for the final exam that same day. A question? Does that make sense? So there are 4 quizzes. Each one's worth 25 points. That's a total of 100 points. That's 10% of your grade. the final is worth 250 points, so it's not quite double the test, but it's a little bit stronger than a test, but not entirely. If you come in to the final exam with an A average on everything, you've already passed the class, right? But if you want to keep your A, you better do something on the final, right? So, and I do expect everyone takes the final exam, all right? So just to be clear. Homework is 150 points. Aha! So now, our first math problem for the day. If the homework is worth 150 points in the course, but there are 525 points in my math lab, what's the conversion? Let me put that in more. So we have 525 my math lab points equals 150 course points. So what's the conversion? Sorry, I'm taking so much time to talk about this, but I think it's important that we understand how the grades are calculated early on. I don't want there to be any confusion, and I want you to understand that homework is really important. So, just zooming in. So what's that work out to? Tell you what, I want to be generous, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that they're 450, my math lab points, because that'll make the conversion easier, right? So my math lab point equals 150 over 450 course points equals 1/3 course point. So in other words, every 3 my math lab problems you do, it earns you 1 point in the course overall, right? You say, well, what if I do all the my math lab problems? What if I get 525? What would that mean? That would mean you got what? 75 extra? In other words, I'm telling you 75 points of the My Math Lab are bonus. So if you complete all the My Math Lab, that would give you how many bonus points to the course? $25, right? Because every 3 My Math Labs are a course point. So if you do all the homework, I'm telling you, I'm going to give you a 25-point bonus on the course. That's pretty significant. All right? So that's waiting for you, but I think that that makes it easier to kind of think about what how the My Math Lab translates into your course grade. So I don't usually tell you these sorts of things at the start of the course. I usually keep these things secret till the end, so I'm breaking protocol here, but hope you'll forgive me. There's one thing missing from my current setup, which is an eraser. I have to go get myself some wipes. All right, let's look at the first homework in my math lab just briefly while I've got this out. Then I'll put it away. Let's see here. No, not the first one. I don't want to look at the first one. I mean the second one here. All right, so here's the first question in your second My Math Lab assignment. What's the question ask? So can you read it? Maybe not. It says, goodness gracious. Oh, well. Determine, I guess I'll write it over here again. How about that? So it says determine whether the given number is a solution of the given equation. All right. Let's see here. And so what they've given us is, oh, I believe there's a comma there. The equation, this is like one of those magic puzzles. You got to get to the right place and kind of like relax your eyes, you know? I think that's 6y minus 5 equals minus 58. It's okay. Eventually I will. I just wanted to look at this for a couple minutes to get a sense of what's in here. So 6y minus 5 equals, well, you could try, can you try to hit the light? See if you can hit just, it's all of them, isn't it? Is that okay for you guys? Is that better? All right, good. So 6y minus 5 equals minus 58. And the question is minus 9. And see, I would like to say is, you know, when I say something like this, I usually include the variable in my statement, just to be sure everyone understands, you know. So I say, is y equals to minus 9 a solution, yeah? Okay, so how do we decide? What do you do? Plug it? Yeah, plug it in. So we've got 6 times minus 9 minus 5. What's that equal to? Yeah, 6 times 9 is 54, so that's minus 54. Minus 54 minus 5 is equal to? Minus 59, right? But notice that that is not equal to, right? Minus 58. So, no, not a solution. How would we solve this equation, by the way? So let's forget about my math lab for a second. You can turn the lights back on. Thanks. How do we solve this equation? I think we already started doing these. What should we do? We should isolate the variable, right? So I would suggest that we take this right here. Man. So, so the temptation is to just like start swinging it like this, but you got to be careful. Sometimes when you do that, all of a sudden you'll have dry erase marker stuff all over the place. It's important to first do this, then you can do this. Aw, come on. I could see the juice, but it didn't do anything. Oh, well. I tried. Let's see here. 6y minus 5 plus 5 equals minus 58. I was trying to put the trash can, believe it or not. Like that. So add 5 to both sides, right? And what happens? We get 6y equals to minus 53. Then what's our next step? Divide by 6. 6y over 6 equals to minus 53 over 6. So therefore, y equals to minus 53 divided by 6. And of course, that's not equal to minus 59, is it? Oh, I mean, that's not equal to minus 9, is it? But I guess it's not far from it either, right? I mean, it's awful close. So, I mean, this thing they gave us is approximately an answer, but it's not an answer, right? We need to get equality, not off by 1. Now this one says, it says solve using the addition principle. What's that? What's the addition principle? I think we've already been using it, haven't we? What's the addition principle? The addition principle is we can solve an equation by adding the same thing to both sides, right? So like the problem that I have here, the problem that's given, this one's actually easier. Minus 32 equals x minus 18. So how would we solve this using the addition principle? Yeah, add 18 to both sides. So one notation I sometimes use for that is just like this. So I say, okay, so plus 18 plus 18 over here, right? So that gives me 18 minus 32 equals to x, right? What is 18 minus 32? Negative 14? Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's right. So minus 14 equals to x. Now, if you said minus 14 equals to x and you put a box around it, I'd be like, that's fine. But it just bothers me for some reason. I can't write that. Something inside me forces me to rewrite this as x equals minus 14. I don't know why. It's how I'm wired at this point. Like, again, that's just, you know, like choosing green paint versus blue paint or something, you know? Not a big deal. Unless, of course, you've got some particular sports team or something. I don't know. Do you guys like the sports? I don't know much about sports. I will tell you this. When Ted Cruz was running in the primary and he referred to a basketball hoop as as a ring, I think he referred to it as a basketball ring. Now, most people that would have been like, I can't vote for that guy. He's so out of touch with the common man. That endeared him to me. Like when I realized he did not know that the basketball hoop was called a basketball hoop, he thought it was called a basketball ring. I thought, this man is so out of touch with sports. I could vote for that. But, sorry, I know sports are important, especially to school in the South. I should shut up. I do play ping pong. Badly. 2x equals to 10. Goodness gracious. How should we solve that? I guess I should stop working your homework. Right?
That's okay.
No, it's okay. So we do what? Divide by 2? So what I am doing here is not just working your homework. I'm showing you how you can show work for your homework. Right? That's different than just getting the answer. And some of these are so simple, you might not even know how to show work, right? So x equal, what do you say? You guys told me x equal to 5, is that right? Okay. I'll believe it. Let me skip ahead a few here. Here, this one's scarier. This one has fractions in it. And tell you what, this time, I'm not going to work this problem exactly. Maybe I should. I'm just trying to make sure I look at these so when you guys work at the homework, you're not like, completely surprised by something. Okay, let me make myself some room here. Oh, I know what I should do. I put this away because I'm not really using it. You can't see it. I can barely see it. I'd like to. Come on. Get out of here. Yep. I have a question. Is NASCAR a sport? It is? What about astronauts? Is that a sport? I mean, it requires sustained physical exertion over a period of months. Anything could be competitive. So now that there's no Cold War, maybe back in the Cold War, to be an astronaut was a sport because you're like competing against the cosmonauts, right? But now, maybe not so much. So if your team, like, you could argue that, like, maybe Michael Jordan back in the heyday, maybe that wasn't a sport because like they were like so much better than the other teams. It's hardly a competition. Still technically. Like if a team gets really, really good, does it cease being a sport because it's no longer competitive? This is interesting. I personally like to watch sports most when there's some team that's so ridiculously better than the other that it's not even, there's like just no hope. Like that gives me joy. Like a close competitions, I'm not really interested. Exactly. And you have to pay attention like 100% if it's close, right? But if somebody's winning by like 3 times the points, you can go to the bathroom or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're not going to miss anything. That's how I see it. All right. Oh, yes. Sorry, math. Okay, so minus 7/3 x. Let's see here. Minus 7/3 x plus 1/3 equals minus 16. So we have done I feel like we've already done this problem, but maybe you don't. I don't know. Like we have not worked a problem with these kind of fractions yet, have we? So let's look at it. How do we solve this? We can use the addition principle again, right? We want to add, maybe subtraction you could call it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 1/3 from both sides. That's one thing I could do. But you see, that would make me work pretty hard because I'd have to subtract 1/3 from minus 16, which would not give me joy. What's an alternative thing I could do to make, yes. Cross multiply, that is close to what I want to do. Maybe that's what I want to do. What would you mean cross multiply? Do you mean multiply the equation by a number? I think that's exactly what we want to do. I wouldn't think of it as cross multiplying here. I would just think of it as like multiplying because like my chief enemy here is the division by 3, right? So how can we, if we just like multiply the equation by 3, the fractions are gone and we're back to our happy place, right? So we can't always just obliterate all the fractions, but if we can, it makes life easier. We should do it, But we have to proceed by the the rules of algebra. What are the rules of algebra? In an equation, we can add the same thing to both sides. We can subtract the same thing from both sides. We can multiply the equation by a non-zero number, right? You can't multiply the equation by 0. That's the destroyer of worlds. That's like, Thanos or whatever. I'm sorry. Oh, we don't care about Thanos anymore. You may never have cared about Thanos. I really don't know. Anyone care about Thanos? Don't know what it is? Oh, that's amazing. So you have not watched like the Marvel movies? That's bold. That's a bold choice. I like it. That's like someone from my generation saying, you know, have you seen The Godfather? I'm like, no, never watched it. Just, whatever. So you never seen it? No, never seen it. But there are people like this. People who dogmatically refuse to watch Star Wars, right? Just to be that person, right? Have you watched Star Wars? Oh, you are an interesting person. I must ask you more questions. All right, so multiply by 3, and we get what? So you get, oh, you're telling me the answer. So I'm going to get minus 7x plus 1 equals 3 times minus 16. And you told me that was minus 48? Okay, great. Do you see what I did there? 7 thirds times 3 is what? It's just 7, right? And 1/3 times 3 is just 1. So that's why you have the 1 there and the minus 7. Now we'll use the subtraction principle, so subtract 1 from both sides. So we get minus 7x equals minus 49. Oh, look at this. This come out all nice and pretty. And then we do what? Yeah, divide by negative 7, right? Let's see here. So I will do a different color to that one. Divided by minus 7. Wait a minute, Fast and Furious. You seen Fast and Furious? Okay. Watch those. It's almost the same genre. I mean, it's... No? It's not? I mean, there's a scene in like Fast and Furious 6 or something, I think, where there's like a main battle tank going down the highway and like a subcompact car gets wrapped around its turret by like a chain or something, and then that like 50-ton tank, for some reason, like just pulls forward on the basis of this like little subcompact car attached to a chain. That is very much the same as Asgardian magic. I mean, it is completely absurd. It's just way, way beyond the laws of physics. I mean, it's just... I mean, if you hit people like they hit people, you'd be dead in that movie. I mean, like the fights between Vin Diesel and the other people, like, those aren't real fights. I mean, unless those are like Asgardians. I think you could view Fast and Furious as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe if you start thinking about it long enough, because those people can't be human and take those kind of hits. No? All right. Trying to think. What other movie should I ask about? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, so this says x equals to what? So the minus 7s cancel. And what is minus 49 over minus 7? So the minuses cancel, right? 49 over 7, and I heard a 7. I like it. So therefore, x equals to 7. Now, we did a lot of things in this problem, didn't we? We made about like 5 or 6 independent arithmetic steps. So in this kind of problem, what I would typically do is I would check my answer. In fact, I would usually do that in a lot of problems. So how can we check our answer? Yeah, plug it back in at the start, see if it works. If we put 7 back up here, what happens? Let's check. Minus 7 thirds. So, you know, something's a solution if when you plug it in, it makes the equation true. That's not what I wrote on the board last time, but that's the heart of what I said. So minus 7 thirds times 7 plus 1/3, that's minus 49 over 3 plus 1/3. Which is minus 48 over 3, right? Because we can add, I just did something. I added 2 fractions. Why is that okay? It's okay because they have the same denominator, right? Okay, just saying. And minus 48 over 3 is minus 16. we have a winner. So it works. Yay, we can do math. This is good. Italian Job? Have you seen the Italian Job? Have you seen the Italian Job? That's almost Fast and Furious. It's just not as you know, it's a heist movie. I mean, all Fast and Furious movies are essentially heist movies. Until The Rock entered, and then they become something more, right? I mean, I don't know. Wait a minute, is he The Rock anymore? What is he now? He's not The Rock. Is he still called The Rock? I forget. These smell like vinegar, very much so. I need to get a different thing to erase. I keep forgetting to get it at home. There's nothing here. Quite will work. All right, moving on. Well, I'll just stop and ask. Did you guys feel comfortable with solving one equation, one unknown? Have you seen me do enough of them? Can we move on to the next? I think we should move on. All right. A word problem. I've assigned it to you. I guess I should work on. An appliance store decreases the price of a 19-inch television set by 17% to a sales price of $524.15. What was the original price? Let's see here. Let me rewrite the question slightly. I'll do a similar but different example. A store reduces price of 20-inch monitor by let's say 18% to a sale price of $400.13. The question is, what was the original price? So how can we turn this into an algebra problem? We need to invent a variable that is what we don't know, right? What don't we know here? What's our goal to find out? Original price. So what do you want to call that? X? All right. So we'll define this to be X, right? And so now, how does 18% figure into it? Yeah, if we reduced by 18%, what does that mean? Yeah, subtract. I'm trying to think of how to do this. Times it by 0.18. Well, I guess if we reduce it by 18%, that means it's 82%, like 82% the cost, right? Like 100 minus 18 is 82. So I think the right equation to write here would be 0.82 times x equals 400 and, that in dollars. Does that make sense? I mean, because, all right, for example, if it was 20% off, then that means it's still 80% of the original cost, right? If the thing was $100 and we take 20% off, it's 0.8 times 100, it's $80. So you should subtract from 1.18, which gives us 0.82. And then we can solve, right? So what's x equal to? Now this one, I will need a calculator for. I've got $487.96. So, in other words, $487.96. So, and again, this is kind of like arguing about like what color to paint your living room, but I just generally don't put dollars in the equations because they just clutter things up for me. So like I will work in an equation in a given system of units, and then at the end I put back on the units for my answer. It's important for the answer to have dollars in it, right? But if you want to work without the dollars, you can do that. You just have to be consistent. If you've got information about dollars and you got information about cents, you need to either like convert everything to dollars or convert everything to cents. You can't mix and match unless you get in trouble. Okay. Here's a good one. Suppose the perimeter of a playing field of a certain sport is a certain length. Field's a rectangle, and the length is longer than the width. Find the dimensions. Let me put that up here. Get back there. Okay, so perimeter of fence is, let's say, 200 feet. All right, and let's suppose the width is 40, well, let's say it's 4 feet longer than the width. Find dimensions of the fence. And when somebody asks you to find the dimensions of something, what does that mean? That means to find the length by the width, right? That's how we usually talk about like dimensions of something. So the question is, what's the length and the width? So how should we work this problem? This kind of problem, I think it helps to draw a picture, right? So we're talking about, and this is a rectangular fence that should be stated, you know. So here it is. This picture isn't, you know, to scale or anything. It's just a picture to guide our thinking. And so what do you think our variable should be here? Suppose the width is 4 feet longer than the width. Do you see a problem with that sentence? Maybe length would make more sense. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Let's make the length be x, all right? And I'm just going to draw that. I'm going to make that to be this one down here, x, right? So the length is x, right? So I'm going to say this. I'm going to call this x. What equation? What expression rather should I put for the width? It's 4 feet longer. So what do I put there? Any ideas? Yeah?
My contacts is bothering me.
Are your contacts bothering you? You look like you had a thought. What's that? Yeah, we want an expression which gives what 4x. Now that wouldn't make it. That would make it 4 times as long. So if the question said that the width was, yeah, if the question said that the width was 4 times longer than the length, that would be the right thing to do. But yeah, we want plus 4, x plus 4. But that's good. I mean, that would be a simple way. We could also give this. I mean, an alternate version of this question would be exactly that, right? If suppose that the width is 4 times the length, that would change that to 4x instead of x plus 4. That's actually that's a good possible answer. Okay, so then what's the perimeter? It's what? It's x plus 4 plus x plus 4, right? We just add the lengths of each, because there's an x plus 4 over here as well, right? And there's an x up here, so we just add those up. That gives us the perimeter. And what does that give us? X. I got 4 x's, right? Plus 8, right? And that's equal to what? 200. And we're back to one of these again, all right? So how do we solve that? I say subtract 8 from both sides. $200 minus 8 is 192. Close though. Heart was in the right place. Let's see here. So 4x equals 192. And so x is then what? X is equal to? You say 48? Ah. Hey, I just made this problem up off the top of my head. I'm pretty happy about that, working out to a whole number. So you said it's 48? Eh. All right, now to answer the question, though, the question is what's the dimensions of the fence? So what are the dimensions of the fence? .48 by what? 48 feet by, what did you say? 52 feet, yeah. Because that was the length, right? The width is 4 feet more. So there you go. Many times I've seen students rob themselves of like the complete number of points on a word problem because they get through whatever algebra is in the problem, they do it correctly, right? But then they don't take the extra next step to like go back and answer the question, right? So that's something to watch out for. Of course, I give partial credit. That kind of thing happens. Not a monster. Let's see here. You guys ever hear the joke about a physicist, an engineer, and a mathematician? No? So a physicist, an engineer, and a mathematician are all given a certain length of fence. And each one of them is asked to enclose the maximum area. So the engineer says, I'll make it a square. It's economical. It's reproducible. It's just a good design, right? The physicist says, I'll make it a circle because a circle has perfect symmetry, right? That'll be the solution. The mathematician takes the fence and just arranges it around him any old way, and then he says, I'm on the outside. What's that? It's not right. See, because then the area that's enclosed is everything outside the fence, which would make the rest of the surface area of the Earth.